Call to order the Alexander County Board of Commissioners meeting for April the 18th, 2022. And at this time, I would recognize for the invocation, Commissioner Larry Yoder, and for Pledge of Allegiance, Commissioner Josh Lale. Would please stand.
Let us pray. Our kind and most gracious, we come before you this evening to ask your blessings upon each and every one that is gathered here tonight. We'd ask that you would be with our linemen, as this is National Lineman Week, be with them and as they go out and when the lights go off, they go out and they do the work they need to do to bring those lights back on. We'd ask you to be with our law enforcement and our emergency personnel, be with those leaders both on the national, the state, and the local level, that they would make the decisions that are best for this country, our state, and our county. We'd ask you to be with each and every one that is here tonight, see them safely home. Lead us and guide us. For this we ask in thy name. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time, I'd recognize any commissioner have a commissioner report.
Well, I hate to admit it, but I can't remember the name of the business. But on NC 90 East in the old Allen Shoe Store, there's a new business that we opened up last weekend, and it's got a lot of computer equipment and different things for young people that these folks would enjoy doing. And I was very impressed with it because this gentleman has put a lot of money in it, and the machines and the equipment they have there are absolutely awesome. And it's on NC 90 East, on the right, just past Craftmaster Furniture, and it's the old Allen Shoe Store building. And I would suggest that you go there and visit, because I can honestly tell you, it's absolutely awesome. And they even have axe throwing, so that was neat, and I did try that. I didn't try the other things, the computerized things they had, but they do have some things they can strap to your feet, and you can be in this room doing these different things, and it's running, and it'll do other things. And the one thing that was really impressive was the fact that companies can use this to bring their employees in, because it's all about teamwork. And you bring them in and they work together to solve problems with these different, I don't want to call them machines, it's more games than it is machines, but they can bring them in and work together to solve problems. The place is absolutely awesome. The people that own it are awesome, and I think our young folks would look forward to seeing it. Gary, do you want to tell the name? Cyberbuzz Entertainment. I couldn't remember it to save me. Thank you. Cyberbuzz Entertainment, and Gary Herman and Connie and I had the opportunity to go down and open the place up and cut the ribbon, and I was just in awe of what this gentleman has done. And the only other place that's even close to this that's in our neighborhood anywhere is the one in Mooresville. But other than that, there ain't anything like this around, and Alexander County in the Unifor area has the first one. And this is really awesome and very good for Alexander County. So all you teenagers, all you kids, all you people that like all this cyber, that's the place to go. They're making it happen.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Yoder. Anyone else? If not, entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. You've had a chance to look at it in your books.
So moved.
Have a motion? Have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or discussions about the agenda? Being none, all in favor, vote by raising your right hand. Thank you, gentlemen. Motion carries unanimously. Has anyone signed up for public comment? Okay. This time, we'll enter into a public hearing. I'll recognize Alicia Stamey for Alexander County Parks PowerPoint presentation, and also park ordinance, courthouse park and splash pad rules, courthouse park and rotary performance stage rules.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we open the public.
Have a motion and a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Right hand. Thank you, gentlemen. Motion carries. Alicia, thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Thank you for letting me present at tonight's meeting. I hope you're doing well. I apologize for not being at the March 7th meeting. But tonight I will be speaking on behalf of the Parks Operation Committee. I know that Mr. French went over some of these items at the March 7th meeting, but I would like to take a few minutes of your time and just revisit those items and answer any questions that you may have. First, you will see the Parks ordinance, the proposed Alexander County Government Parks Ordinance. This has been posted for public inspection in the Office of the Clerk to the Board in the County Administration Building. The purpose of this ordinance is to establish and consolidate general rules and regulations for all Alexander County owned and operated parks. And this ordinance will enable county and park staff to enforce regulations and help maintain a clean and safe environment for all citizens and visitors. The parks included in this ordinance will be all of Alexander County government-owned and operated parks, which include the new Courthouse Park, Bethlehem Park, Dusty Ridge Park, East Park, J.C. Park, Rocky Face Park, and Wittenberg Park, along with any other future Alexander County government-owned or operated parks. The Parks Operation Committee is asking that this ordinance be approved by the board at tonight's meeting. Yeah.
Okay, we've had a chance to look over the ordinance, but if you want to go ahead and go through, that way.
Go
we'll-
through everything.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay, I sure will. So next, you'll see the proposed rules and hours of operation for the new Alexander County Courthouse Park, which is located at 101 West Main Avenue in Taylorsville. What you see in your packets are the signs that will be posted at the park. And on those signs, you will see the specific rules for the park and the splash pad, the hours, and you'll see these two QR codes. And if folks scan those QR codes, it will direct them to the park ordinance that I just went over that you have in your packets, and the special events ordinance that's already been adopted.
Okay.
And both those will be on the Alexander County website as well. As far as the splash pad hours, the committee researched over a dozen different community splash pads, and we propose that the splash pad hours are 7 days a week, April 1st through September 30th, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., and closed for the season October 1st through March 31st, unless it's otherwise posted or there's an event going on, then those hours will be different. The park restroom hours will be the same as Rocky Face Park hours, so that'll be seasonal as well. April 1st through September 30th will be 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. October 1st through October 31st, it'll be 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. November 1st through February 28th, it'll be 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And March 1st through March 31st will be 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And that, again, is unless otherwise posted or there's an event going on.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Next is the proposed Alexander County Courthouse Park and Rotary Performance Stage rental fees. And we're proposing that the daily rental fees for all local organizations within Alexander County be waived. But the daily rental fees for nonprofit organizations outside the county will be $100 per day, and for-profit organizations outside the county will be $200 per day. There will also be two fees that will apply to all organizations. So there will be a $150 per day fee for post-event cleaning and maintenance. And there is also a $300 security deposit that can be refunded at the end of the event as long as there's no damages. There is also a proposed fee for extra emergency county personnel for $30 per hour per person with a 3-hour minimum, and that will be paid by the event organizer. And the number of personnel for that will be determined by the estimated attendance.
All right.
And information, if folks need information for hosting a special event at the park, that can be found on the signs at the park and on the Alexander County website as well.
All right. Sounds good. We've had the copy of the ordinance to look at, so
Yeah.
I don't think there's any use to go. Does anyone want to go through each one? Is there any questions about the ordinance? Anything that anybody's found?
One question for Mr. French. The county personnel, I mean, this is just a question. Is $30 per hour reasonable to cover the county's expense for law enforcement and/or emergency management?
I think it's a good place to start. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So that depends on the size, how
Right.
many's needed, and
Right.
if they are needed, I guess.
That's correct.
Okay.
And obviously, if at some point we feel like, or, the powers that be feel like that fee, is not covering the county's cost
We'll
for
address it.
those
We'll
folks, that
recommend
could be adjusted. So
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to ask, because I know, employees are expensive when you get into benefits and matching taxes and all the other costs involved, above their actual salary, so.
Okay.
I have a question. How does their fees compare to the surrounding splash pads and things of that nature?
Well, there's no fee for the splash pad now, but other communities, some of them charge, some of them don't charge. So we wanted to start out with no charge and let it be free for the community, for the citizens.
So I guess the times of opening and closing those line up with most of the surrounding areas as far as
We felt like, the splash pad, actually, we would be open a little bit longer than some of the other community splash pads in the area. And when I say longer, I mean as far as seasonal,
seasonal.
yeah.
Okay.
But we wanted to keep that to coincide with Rocky Face park hours, so we could have the staff available if we
Same
need to.
place, yeah.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Okay. Anyone in the audience have a question? It's a public hearing. Okay, we need to close the hearing. We need to close the public hearing to make a vote on this ordinance.
So moved.
Okay, have a motion to close? Have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor of closing the public hearing, raise your hand. All right, motion carries unanimously. Okay, this time, we need to take, I guess, this one and then combine the other two, correct? We need to vote on this one. We need to take a vote to approve the ordinance as given in our packet for the parks. Entertain a motion for that.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the ordinances as presented at this time.
Okay, have a motion, to have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any other discussion or questions? Okay, being none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, we'll move on to the next two, the proposed courthouse park and splash pad rules and hours, and proposed courthouse park and Rotary performance stage fees. That's right. Go ahead. Okay, I need a motion.
Yes.
Okay, need a motion to approve we'll go back into public hearing again.
No, you don't have to.
I move that we approve the Alexander County Parks ordinance as been presented as far as the splash pad in Alexander County Courthouse Park.
We did that one.
Oh, we did that one?
Yeah, we need to do
The
the
Well,
stage.
I'm way behind here then.
splash pad and hours of operation rules.
And,
So do we need it on the splash pad?
Yeah, they do
Right.
those.
They-
separate.
I move that we approve the splash pad hours of service
in the stage.
and the stage
Okay.
Rental fees.
rental fees.
Have a motion? Have a second.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor, vote by raising your right hand. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Motion carries unanimously again. All right. Thank you, Alicia.
Okay, and I just want to mention one more thing. We want to thank you, Commissioners, for all your hard work for making the courthouse park happen. And I want to mention the opening dedication and the ribbon cutting for the park. That will be held on Sunday, May the 15th. The dedication will begin at 3 p.m. Live entertainment will start at 4 p.m., and we hope that folks will come out and enjoy that.
Yeah, I think it'll be a great thing for the county, and a lot of kids are gonna like the splash pad
Oh,
when it
yeah.
gets watched, you know.
Oh,
Mhm.
yes.
Hope so.
Right.
Yes.
Thanks, appreciate what y'all are doing, seriously, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the job you're doing. Looks good.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on to item number 2, Alexander County Grid Improvement Project with Duke Energy PowerPoint. I'd recognize Robin Nicholson, Duke Energy District Manager, and also Avery Dollinger, Senior Public Engagement Manager.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, and thank you, Commissioner Yoder, for recognizing National Lineman Appreciation Day today. We've been celebrating our linemen as much as we can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I have to throw out that the Crawdads hosted them last Thursday night for a home game, and our linemen thoroughly enjoyed being there. So thank you so much.
That's good. We like keeping the lights on, too. So.
It's pretty important, and it's nice to have the heat this morning whenever that little cold snap came through that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
But
The one in the morning is gonna be important too. It's
Yeah, I
supposed to drop down to
know,
about
I know.
33, I think, so.
hope nobody's planted their tomatoes yet, so I know we held off. But thanks so much for giving us time to talk about the work that we are doing here in Alexander County and specifically here in Taylorsville. We met with a number of folks, gosh, several months ago, quite a few months ago, because we recognize the magnitude of this project and not just what it will do from an electric grid standpoint, but what it would mean to the citizens of Alexander County, the town of Taylorsville, and also the inconvenience that it was going to cause while we were doing all this work. So we've done a lot of planning for it, did a lot of the behind the scenes before we ever had crews show up to start doing the work. They are now here. You've probably seen them around. Most of the work is starting from the substation, Taylorsville Tie Station, and working their way out. And I'm going to ask Avery, Avery, where you? Avery's behind me. Ask Avery to go into a little more detail. But I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you for your cooperation of working with us. The main thing to remember is that we've got a little bit of inconvenience. We've got a lot of work going on. We're going to have some outages. We're probably going to have some folks complaining when they get tied up in traffic, when we have to shut down a lane of Main Avenue or somewhere that they're trying to get through quickly and get stuck in some traffic jams. But in the long run, I think everyone will be pleased. We're going to have a far more reliable system, far more efficient, and with the reliability comes fewer outages, and hopefully be able to, anything that does happen then, be able to respond to more quickly. As you can imagine, this is an old system. I mean, Duke Energy has been, some form of Duke Energy has been in this area for well over 100 years. Oxford Dam is coming up on 100 years here before too many more years pass by. So we've been around for a long time. Not saying these lines are 100 years old, but there's some old equipment out there. There's some old wire. And with aged equipment also becomes a safety issue for our linemen. So we don't want our linemen to be in hazardous conditions. We want to make sure the power stays on for you as much as possible. So therefore, we have engaged in this rather massive project. And I'm going to turn it over to Avery and let him talk to you about some of the specifics of exactly what we're doing and some of the things you can expect coming up. And then if you have any questions, we'll be glad to address them.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Robin. Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. community for having us out here, giving us a chance to explain this project to y'all. Like she said, we met most of y'all sometime last year and when we were getting started on this project. And with COVID, we've had a few hiccups like everybody else on material and tools and equipment. And, you know, with a lot of the customer stuff that's building up, MDI, we did a bunch of work over there. So a little late getting started as what we originally had proposed. So we appreciate the patience and y'all working with us. But like Ms. Robbins said, is a lot of this line is copper line. So there's been, and that comes down to the safety of the lineman. Some of this old 6 copper, if you go to move it with the weight of the insulating hoses and jacks and hoist, the copper is deteriorated, it'll break. So just as we've been doing around First and Pop Davis Road, a lot of that wire was old copper. So they're tearing that out, and that's when we have those outages to remove it safely. And just like we were doing over on Highway 16 as well. And another reason we're doing that is we're upgrading to a larger cable. And as part of this grid improvement, you know, that with that larger cable, we're going to be able to start tying downtown Taylorsville and other places in Alexander County to other circuits. But until we increase the capacity of that wire, you know, basically you can start big and go small, but you can't start small and feed big. So, you know, redoing some of those sections gives us the ability to tie different feeders together and get your outages done quicker. And a lot of this will be with the self-healing grid is where we install equipment, and basically it'll isolate the section. We're trying to get it down to like 400 customers, which I know downtown that would be a lot, but you get out in some of the rural areas and bigger places, it just isolates that section, and then it'll automatically connect back to the sub from another location. And that's kind of why we're adding the additional circuit. We're calling it 1205. We have 01, 02, 03, 04. So this 05 is gonna give us that opportunity for two-way feeds, as well as the industry grows here in Alexander County. You know, it's going to support those businesses. We've tried to break this down into sections, as you can see, kind of part 1, 2, 3, and 4. Been working with the sheriff's office a lot. The sheriff and his team's been great, helping us with some of the road closures. Obviously, we're communicating the outages and stuff, and you can see we're pretty much, you know, coming right through the heart of the town. But I think this is going to be great for the town and the county as well. And we can go to the next slide. But like Robin talked about, it's going to be an inconvenience. You look at West Main here, these poles are right in the sidewalks. Having to set up our equipment, obviously in the road, we're going to have the lanes to where you got just one lane each way, but you know, obviously on the other side of the road. So we'll have that. Our flagging teams will be out there and working with the sheriff to try to get that done and clean back up as soon as possible. Some of the challenges we have in the sidewalks is we'll set our poles. We have to get our joint use counterparts, the phone and cable and everyone to transfer to the new poles, and then we'll pull those old stub poles and repair the concrete. So, you know, we've obviously asked the crews, set the poles, you know, to where we're not blocking any traffic for pedestrians. You know, if you set a pole beside that one, you know, go in front or behind, not beside where a wheelchair couldn't get by, as we're in the process of getting the joint use moved over. So we've tried to think about that. But really just the winter loading here in Alexander County is where we're hardest hit. Just getting those cold mornings and things like that, and cold nights in the winter. So this will help a lot of that. Again, it'll reduce the amount of outages just with that equipment work to segregate the line as stuff impacts it. But we'll see a lot of that down West Main Street with the road closures and the sidewalk closures. Just don't want folks walking under the trucks if somebody drops a wrench or a bolt. You know, it can cause some pretty big damage. So just trying to keep the crews and the community safe. So we'll shut down accordingly and, you know, break down at the end of the day, you know, to where we're not holding up traffic. And our goal is to try to get this work done by October to where we're not interfering with the Apple Festival. And then, you know, getting into November, you start putting up your Christmas lights and things like that. And I know there's been a project, some other teammates working with the community with the banners and stuff like that. So those new banners will get on those new poles, and hopefully we can leave them alone for a long time unless a car finds one of these poles. So we can go to the next slide. And this is a little bit more information about your outages. Again, we've kind of got the one on First Avenue that'll affect about 30 customers. That is going to be with our local EMS building. So, you know, we'll be working, the foreman will be working with those leaders to make sure that everyone's aware and everything's arranged, times, whether it's after hours, weekend, and so forth. And again, that's to move that copper conductor safely, and then basically you'll see a big 8-hour outage the day that we go to do all that. Basically, once we get the new line pulled in and built, we'll take an outage off the old, swap all the load over to the new wire, and then get it back on. And then you'll have another outage on First Avenue and Second, which again will be about 30 customers. And this is where we're going through and upgrading our voltage from a 4 kV to a 12 kV. So more power, more capacity, more reliability. But obviously, you know, as we build the new line, the old transformer piece of equipment will have to take the outage on that property or business to take the old one down and install the new one. And that's when that voltage will change. So definitely need an outage for that, for the big swap over. And then it'll be about an hour or two per customer. And obviously the crews will be working with those customers, you know, knocking on doors, reaching out, you know, ahead of time before they just kill their power. But those are kind of the three heavy hit areas I wanted to bring up, and we can go to the next slide. And again, we're mainly just trying to improve the reliability and the resiliency of the line here, strengthen the grid. And then, you know, obviously we can expand with renewables and solars. Riding out here, there's a lot of solar farms. So, you know, that's opportunity for future, for growth or tie into our system as well. And then just with the control, you know, we're getting a lot more technology where these lines are telling us where the problems are, as opposed to fellas having to get up and put his boots on and go out and start his truck and ride out there and look. This thing in seconds has already isolated that section of line and re-energized it from another location, other than, you know, the area that's hit. But it's better to isolate that section than knock out the whole town. So that's kind of our goal there. And with some of the new tools, you know, there's opportunities to tie back into our grid with solar and battery and electric cars. I've got mine outside. It gets 223 miles, and it's 103 miles here from my house, so we'll be going easy back over the mountain. So it's, but you know, these car chargers take a lot of juice as well, and as you know, the country is moving toward electric vehicles, so you know, this will give the opportunity to support that as well. And we can go to the next slide. You know, just kind of in closing, we're doing about 4 miles of line through town, through the county. Highway 16, again, we'll have those two-way feeds now, that additional circuit. You know, and it's going to just add a lot more capacity for the community for growth. I'll be the public engagement manager with the crews. Obviously, the foremen are working a lot on one-on-one with the customers, but I'm here and Robin's here if there's any concerns or complaints or, you know, congratulations. But our goal is to get here and get it done. Met with the VP of the contractor that's doing our work, and, you know, they're committed to getting it done, bringing in the crews. You know, we want to be done and out of here by October to kind of hand Main Street back over to the community. So do y'all have any questions for me at this time, or any concerns or anything about the project I could hopefully answer?
Sounds good. We need to keep moving as much as we can. So it's 16 is already completed, is that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
And I'll turn it back over to Ms. Robin
All
if
right.
she's got any closing comments.
Thank you.
I was just going to add that I've been working very closely with Gary on all of the notices going out. I've noticed they have been getting in the paper. Thank you very much. And even though my friend David Odom did have me sounding like the Grinch in that one article about Christmas lights. I was almost afraid to show my face. If this was city council, I'm not sure I think I had a conflict if this had been city council. But no, only kidding.
We'll be
it's-
easy on you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. It's one of those necessary evils. It is, like I said, it's an inconvenience for short term, but with long-term benefits and chances to really grow what's here, so. But if y'all have any questions now or later, you know how to get in touch with me. And we'll keep communicating through Gary for anything that needs to go out to the public and any notices coming up.
Everything sounds good. I appreciate you coming out, appreciate the information.
Great, thank
Keep working.
y'all.
Thank you,
y'all.
guys.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 3, recognize County Manager Rick French for the memorandum of understanding on the broadband deployment spectrum and the GREAT grant application summary and resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This agenda item is the other, at last March meeting, we talked about the Yawtail Xyrus application with Great Grant, which was 1.2 million and 203 customers. Well, the Great Grant with Spectrum involves 2.2 million, $250,000 from the county, and the potential for 390 customers, internet customers, which is a total of almost 600 customers, which is great. Again, these funds will not be committed unless they're successful. But tonight, we are asking you, if you would, to approve the resolution, the MOU as presented. And I'll be glad to try to answer any questions, Mr. Chairman of the Board.
All right, thank you, Mr. French.
Yes, sir.
We've been trying to expand broadband for a long time, and I think this is a pretty big hit.
I think so, too.
For us. Any questions for me, Commissioner?
I make a move to approve the resolution.
Okay, have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Entertain the vote for approval by raising your right hand. Carries unanimously. Thank you, Jim. And recognize Mr. Rick French, County Manager, once again for number 4 of budget ordinance amendments number 85 through 88 and project budget ordinance number P5 and P6.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Budget 85 is to decrease the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council administrative budget based on estimated fiscal year 2022 expenses per third quarter accounting reports submitted to the state at the end of March. Budget amendment number 86 is to increase the fire emergency services budget for FEMA public assistance grant funds received to reimburse the town of Taylorsville for damage from Tropical Storm Eta. Flood damage to town-owned building occupied by Mountain View Urgent Care of Taylorsville was over $5,400. Also to restore fiscal year 21 county funds with the receipt of FEMA public assistance grant funds in fiscal year 2022 to reimburse the county the amounts paid to Sawmills Fire and Rescue for damage to their boat, which was over $2,700, and Mooresville Fire and Rescue for damage to their boat and drone, which is over $9,900. The damages occurred when these two agencies assisted Alexander County during Tropical Storm Eta in November of 2020. Budget Amendment 87 removed the amounts budgeted in general fund for the storm debris removal at 3 locations for the Emergency Watershed Protection Project. Instead of the general fund, the project will be accounted for in a multi-year special revenue fund since the activity will take place during more than one budget year. 88 is to increase the planning department budget for technical planning assistance contract with Western Piedmont Council of Governments for the Alexander County Comprehensive Plan. The total of the 18-month contract is $56,220. Because we had funds in the account, we're asking for a $9,375 budget amendment. There's 2 project ordinance. P5 is for one of the projects, the Alexander County Grant Project Budget Ordinance, Alexander Soil and Water Emergency Watershed Protection Project, and its total is $213,750. And the project budget ordinance, P6, is for Alexander County Grant Budget, Project Budget Ordinance, Alexander Soil and Water Emergency Disaster Funds, Stream Debris Removal, and it's for $174,287. I'll be glad to answer any questions about those, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. French. Any questions from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve budget ordinance and amendments 85 through 88, and also project budget ordinance P-5 and P-6. Move to approve.
Okay, have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion? Being none, I'll entertain the vote of approval, raising the right hand. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Jim. Moving on to our next business, number 5, County Manager's Report. Recognize Mr. Rick French.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. The Alexander County landfill will close at noon on Friday, April 29th, and remain closed Saturday, April 30th, and reopen at 8 a.m. Monday, May 2nd. This closure is a necessity for transfer station floor repairs. Alexander County convenience sites will remain on a regular schedule. Please contact Solid Waste if you have any questions. Also, April 23rd, this coming Saturday, is Rocky Fest. And then, as Alicia mentioned earlier, May 15th is the Alexander County Courthouse Park dedication and special concert. Also, May 25th is the 10th year anniversary of Rocky Face Park. And I'll be glad to answer any questions. I have a few things for closed session.
Okay, thank you. A lot of good information there. And just, remember the landfill being closed. Don't let everyone drive down there and then have to turn around and come back. So we'll get that worked out through Gary too and through the paper, I'm sure, so. Okay. This time I'd entertain a motion to approve our consent agenda. We've had time to look at that. It's been in our packets.
So moved.
Okay, have a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. At this time, I'll make a motion, myself, we go into adjournment for closed session per NCGS 143-31811 and 4, 5, and 6 for economic development, contractual, and personnel meeting. I need a second.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. All in favor? And we will re-adjourn, only to adjourn. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. We're now in closed session. Thank you, John.